Yeah.
I'm just curious, what's your Chinese name?
Liu Yixuan.
Slow down.
Liu, it's
Yo,
my family name. Yixuan, so
Yishun.
XY. No, no, no. YIXUAN. I can type in the chat box.
Yishun. Okay.
Yes.
Yo, Yishun. No.
Okay, I changed one setting. You can
Mm-hmm.
continue, like, consider that was the first question finished.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, continue.
Is it recording?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Um,
Yeah.
so what you did was you identified a need and you dug deeper and you understood that the disparity lies in education, and then you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to explore diversity. Did I sum it up correctly?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, can you explain how does working in diversity look like in today's scenario with respect to the jobs that you have? Like, how long have you been looking for a job per se, or can you just walk me through the steps that you've been taking for jobs in diversity in this particular case?
Yeah, sounds good. So I think understand diversity and bridging the gap is not to look at, I identify a set of jobs and then I'm going to change everybody's life by doing it. I think that's a little bit overkill. So my way of looking at this is I know coming through, I think my entire educational experience, I know that I was not equipped with most resources, everything I needed. I kind of have to navigate myself. So I know there are a lot of useful tools, there are a lot of help that people could have been giving to communities for them to reach like bigger goals. So I think my understanding of diversity and inclusion is to make resource accessible. So tell people these are the things you can use and these are the help you can get. And then you can actually use them to benefit yourself, your education experience. For example, in the past, you don't know their financial aid in school, for example, Berkeley and Stanford. So a lot of people got offered, but they didn't even know they can go without even paying, or they can talk to the mission office. But right now, if they know, as long as they get in, there's so many ways of covering the tuition. The richer your school is, the more opportunities you will get. A lot of people just don't know that. So I think that there's a gap, and a lot of people also don't know different tools and help and even assistance to draft a better application in the process. And that's only the higher education side. And I'm only talking about tuition acceptance. And once you're in an institution as big as Berkeley, a lot of them have very different socioeconomic backgrounds, right? Some people would understand I can go to academic advisor to schedule my kind of like major plans, what kind of classes I need to take. I can get help, and I can go to get career counseling, and I can get like different kind of communities through organizations. But not everybody know those things existed. So I think my understanding of bridging the gap or reaching diversity or inclusion is to kind of creating more pathways for people to walk through, and then also create more platforms to present opportunities for people.
Sam?
And
Okay,
sorry,
gotcha.
was that
No,
something?
no, no, no.
Yeah. So that's one side of kind of like one aspect of how I look at diversity. And then I can have so many different trajectories to reach the goal, which is connecting resources and people. And I also see like organizations like foundations, nonprofits, or international NGOs like UNICEF, UNESCO, another way of providing resources without necessarily aiming for like maximize the profit. So I think those are all avenues I can take to achieve my goal.
Got it. Got it. So, in order to understand this correctly, can you systematically define like few steps that you're taking in order to find jobs in this domain?
Yes, I think finding job here as international is not. as free as a native like citizen. So because I'm very much restrained by my visa status, I can only look for opportunities that's very much relevant to my major, which is education policy. So knowing I'm interested in nonprofit, knowing I'm interested in working with communities, and knowing I have backgrounds and strength in higher education and working with NGOs, I started with kind of researching foundation and nonprofit and philanthropical kind of industry in the U.S. And then seeing if they have programs that's more education focused, or if there are organizations that does help high school kids to draft their application, or if there are companies that does education consulting. So I think these are the steps. I identify my interest and what's my strength, and what are some sectors that do similar things. So then I go for those. Those are my steps.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And to get back to my question, you spoke about your steps. Can you outline a few platforms or resources that you particularly use to do this?
Yeah. I think LinkedIn is a big one. And then I think Indeed was also good for kind of getting a general sense of what's the landscape like for this industry. And it's always good to go for the actual hiring website for different companies to check what are posted there. So that's sort of like three major ones. But then there is another huge chunk of networking, like through personal connection to get jobs. So go do information interviews with people or professors or friends of a friend, or within a network. So two major blocks through application, and then also network. And then within application, you have different websites to go on. And within network, there are like friends, professor,
Got
coworker,
it.
and then friend of a friend to just like branch out.
Makes sense. Thank you so much for that. With respect to the application process that you defined just now, can you identify a few challenges that you have been facing with
Mm,
respect to this?
yeah, there are a lot of challenges because when at the application side, not everyone will get back to you. Like, no matter how many you applied, how many cover letter you wrote, you end up probably hearing nothing back. So that's kind of a black hole. You just keep tossing stone in, hoping to get like a reflection or a song back. And that's one of the challenge, not really have idea of how this is going to go, and then if I'll ever hear back from them, or maybe will they even read my application, maybe they just toss it in the trash can. So that's a big one. And at the network side, I think what bothered me the most is talking to people with intentionality of, I want to use your resources, I want you to give me kind of direction, whatever, was not the best foundation to start a conversation. And even if I kind of pull it together, you never know how this kind of conversation will get you. Like, what's the outcome? You talk to 10 people, but none of this went anywhere. And then this is also not like an application process. You can track, oh, I already fill out this blank. I did cover letter. I revised the resume.
Hmm.
Now I'm hearing, like, waiting for them to get back to me. Also, not like a spectrum of I can project. So you just kind of like hopelessly keep doing it, and then wishing something will
Makes
happen and
sense.
lie at the end of this. So I think these are my two major ones.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely understand what you're trying to say, because the point that you spoke about networking, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes extremely difficult to like first beat around the bush and come to the point later that I'm trying to get achieve this through our conversation. So definitely, uh, so in order to like solve these problems per se, or to tackle these obstacles, what would be your ideal solution that you look like, or what resource that you wish you had that could help you with this particular job search?
I actually don't know. I think job search in general just is a really exhausting, very kind of, you don't really know, everything is just up in the air in a black box kind of experience.
Correct.
Um, and then looking back, because I start like kind of started the whole job searching experience last March, so it's almost been a year, and on and off with school happening at the same time. It was a lot of emotional kind of weight on me, and so I don't know if any technical tools would help me or provided more support. I would almost say like emotional support is a little more useful and more kind of like can be provided to everyone.
So you hint more towards the emotional well-being side of this particular journey more than the technical side, which I really appreciate. But in that case, how do you manage to stay or keep yourself motivated to keep doing this? Because you said that you've been trying this for a year now. So what keeps you
Yeah,
going?
it's a really good question. I think there are a lot of different reasons why I should be here or should not be here. And I can argue either way. But what kept me going was I think to have confidence in my credentials and my capabilities. And then also to kind of um, because I have a relationship here. So like if I leave, that means I kind of have to just basically say goodbye to this. And knowing that, I kept to like, okay, so let's just keep trying. What if something happened? That's a more like high level kind of motivation. And a more practical side is I will have to-do list almost like every other week of like email this person, apply three more, check this website. And then I will cross them every week or every other week to feel like, oh, I accomplished something. I did something, even though not all of them will necessarily contribute to a offer, but I like still working on it. And I will keep sending emails out to people. Once I send them out, I have to follow up. If I schedule a meeting, I have to go. So those are the kind of little tricks I use to keep my willpower up.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, so right now you
Mm,
don't have exact immediate steps, but a bunch of steps that you need to keep doing every day, probably as part of your discipline, in order
mhm.
to even keep yourself motivated and be on the track, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Um, is there anything else about the job search experience that you would let us know and which might be helpful for us?
Mm,
Maybe on the emotional style side of it as well,
Uh,
because
I think I have both. Like on the more, I think, technical, more logistic side is I think there should be extra support for internationals. Like there is a very complicated whole process of visa, OPT, H-1B, O-1, O-2, H-1B cap exempt, like all those. And I think not every student know all the details about that. So I think for job searching, oh, there's a feature. For job searching, it's almost like if there is a website can summarize all of these and give examples and scenarios to people who need to know everything about it, that would be really helpful instead of
mhm.
like doing search by myself. Like every time I run into a problem, I have to go to like 20 different websites to gather information. So that's one thing I would say would be really helpful. On the emotional side, I don't know. I actually don't have a very good answer about what kind of support an app or like a website can provide. Mm.
Got it. Got it. Okay. First of all, thank you so much for diving deeper into the emotional aspect of it because it revealed a lot of things with the job hunting process that is not mostly exposed in secondary research. So thank you so much for
Mm.
that. Um, with that, I would love to conclude our interview today. But if, like before that, I would love to say thank you for your participation and for trusting us with this particular, uh, what do you call it? Like this process and this a lot of information that you provided us. With respect to follow-ups, we'll be synthesizing this information, and we'll probably have doubts with respect to clarifications or something like that. We might reach back to you, so would really appreciate your help afterwards. So yeah, so
Well, thank you for your time too. It was a really pleasant conversation.
it was my pleasure. Thank you so much, Zoe. See you around. Yeah.
See you.
Okay, good job.